one of the tendencies is it's time for attacking some written portion of an application. And so we go to the application and we look at the prompt and we start the process. Believe it or not, we actually recommend a very different strategy, which is to ignore the prompt initially. A cooler way to do this, a more badass way to approach this, is first, you want to go on an introspective journey to understand fully what makes you tick, what gives your profile candidacy strength. What is it about you that is actually impressive and important to convey? Okay, now you guys are young, and even for us folks who are older, that takes work to really kind of lay all the cards out on the table and stand back and look at them. So this is a process. Okay, this discovery process is not a quick 3-second thing. But what I would like to do is walk you through kind of an exercise that can help you at least start to approach this in a focused way. Okay, so this is not, by the way, don't take this too seriously. This is not a bulletproof, everyone who follows this will come up with the perfect solution always. It's really to kind of get the rust off so that you can start thinking about this in a better way. So step one, start to just list things that are impressive, okay, in your profile. So this is just an example. I just made all this stuff up. But imagine that you played football on your college team and you were the captain, and you started a business. You speak 4 languages. There was a poetry contest where you won 3rd place, competed in a marathon, blah, blah, blah. Okay, just list them all. Get as far as you can. If you can get to 10, great. If you can only get to 5, great. List as many things as you can. And if it's more than 10, let it be more than 10. Okay, step 2 now is we want to take this list and rank it, okay? With the most impressive thing at number 1, the next most impressive thing at number 2, and so on. Now, this is crucial, okay? Impressiveness, you need to think of it in the context of how challenging or surprising or interesting was the conclusion, okay? For example, let's take a look at you were captain of the sports team. Well, by itself, that might be pretty impressive, but what if your particular college was absolutely miserable at sports and everyone was awful and you're actually kind of an average player? You know, it doesn't say much that you were the captain. Okay, so you want to consider that as you're coming up with your rank. Now, let's say you started a business, but it only lasted 2 years. You know, you look at that and say, well, that's sort of impressive, but it's maybe not that impressive. But what if you come from a tiny, tiny village and no one under the age of 50 ever really mounted a successful business? And as a young college student, you came up with something, and through ridiculously clever marketing, all of a sudden, all these fancy businessmen from out of town came to your store, okay, out of your apartment, and bought stuff that, you know, you started selling something, all right? This is a silly example, but the point is, all of a sudden that becomes a much more impressive achievement given the context. So this exercise here is just consider the context as you're developing your own ranking system. Okay, now obviously this is something we help you with, but if you're doing this in your own, try to walk around it in that way. Okay, so give them all ranks 1 through 8 in this particular scenario, right? I want to just draw your attention to so the one that is the most impressive here is competed in a marathon in this hypothetical example. Again, competing in a marathon, maybe somewhat impressive, but not that impressive. A lot of people do it. But what if, you know, you broke your legs when you were 13 years old and doctors said you might not ever walk again? Now, all of a sudden, that guy who goes on many years later to not just heal and walk, but compete in a marathon, that is an amazing story, okay? I want to know more about the guy who experienced that and what makes that guy tick. Okay, so this is simply to just drive home the point that context is really, really, really important.